Architects are really problem solvers, and I think the value of an architect is to solve that problem in an elegant way. We don't start with a preconceived idea about the building's going to look like a Cumulus building. It's more about a process, and I think that's what adds to the richness of a project.
It's really this constant question around, how can the architecture make people's lives better? So I think you come to us to get a project that is your project as opposed to our project. So that's the way we look at it.
Right from the word go, we had particular ideas about how we wanted to run the company. I hope that our architecture isn't just about impressing other architects. I really want it to be inspirational to anyone who goes into the spaces. Good architecture just really can inspire people, and I'm really proud that we're actually creating beautiful pieces in Australia. It's been a complete privilege.
Everything we do is related to space. The way we define ourselves, the way we think about ourselves is all related to our spatial relationship with other things. And so architecture, in that sort of context, actually helps to make us who we are.
All of our values of Cumulus relate to not just the built outcome, but they relate to the way that we go about creating the architecture. It's about finding the uniqueness of the experience of that building or that client and sort of celebrating that.
I think there's this attitude of never settling and always having an inquisitive nature about the process of architecture, and there's definitely not only one idea.
The office culture is team. I mean, it is a team approach to the way we do things. I mean, architecture is just not a group of architects working in isolation. You know, we should be able to complete a building and we should be able to walk away from that saying we've done everything we possibly could to get the best outcome at this time.
One of the things that's always excited me about the work Cumulus does is the tourism work.
We've been offered a great opportunity to be part of some really amazing tourism projects. The most notable projects would be Cradle Mountain, Dove Lake, Pump House Point and Devil's Corner.
Definitely within the last 10 years that we've been operating, there's been much more of an appreciation of design within the state. Can the architecture not only represent that, but accentuate it?
Tassie's done a really great job of rebranding itself into this kind of ecotourism kind of hotspot. Wild, experience-based projects happening, and I think that's really interesting.
There's obviously quite a lot of houses we've worked on. Anyone who comes to us and wants us to do a project, especially a house, for example, then they're trusting that you're going to do a great job, and we really take, I guess we see that as a big responsibility. You're doing something that's really important to that person, but also for design in general and what it might mean for the community. And one of the clients said, I'm really disappointed it's finished because I loved the process as much as the house. They just loved coming to all the client meetings, seeing it move from one thing to another, seeing it being built on site, seeing, oh, that's the detail we worked out.
A Cumulus project really understands the client and the context, so it's not necessarily a common style or a common use of the same materials. In fact, it's the project-specific kind of use of materials that is the Cumulus way.
I think in Tassie, social housing is at this really interesting point. There's some really good social housing outcomes in Tassie now, not just ours. And our clients and our cohort that we're designing to are realising that they can expect more. I think Goulburn Street in particular is a really excellent example of how you can insert medium density housing into the cityscape. It's complementary to the street, and I think we are in a good position to address that conundrum of how far to go in development and being sensitive about it.
The idea is to not think of it as a social housing project. The idea of it is to think of it as a housing project, and it's quite nice seeing how people respond to their own particular home, and there's always different ways people like to live. I think if you think about it like that, then you're going a long way for it to be successful.
I see Cumulus as being about all the people, really. It's just a really friendly bunch of people who are passionate about architecture. We do love architecture, but we also don't take ourselves too seriously. We've got great graduates coming out of uni, they've got great ideas, and then we want to really foster and encourage those skills.
It's been really impressive to see our leadership team and how they're thinking about things for our company's future. I think being open to new ideas is a really critical factor to our success.
That there is this progression of how architecture's moving, and I just want to make sure we're still doing projects as interesting as we are now and thinking about projects in the same way, so that we don't lose sight of what it is we're doing it for. It is about great design and great experience for people. Yeah, if we can keep having that happening, it'd just be really exciting.
I really look forward to emerging architects who are coming up through the studio, who have really strong design skills and what they bring to the team. We've developed up a really strong reputation for interesting, unique design and having aspirational architecture that is out of the ordinary. I think that life is so kind of precious and wonderful, and that having beautiful things that kind of are uplifting, I think, is a really important part that architecture can play in the world.